This weekend, we celebrate the feast of Christ the King. It's the last Sunday of the church's liturgical year before we begin the next liturgical year with the start of Advent next weekend already. Jesus is our King. We may not be used to necessarily thinking of Jesus as a king, considering our country's own background was to be started after rejecting a king. All the colonists wanted to get out from under the King of England. And that's really kind of a mark of American freedom, is not to be a subject of any kind of monarch or dictator. And that's true also for Christian freedom as well, not being subjects to any merely human king. We consider no human being as our king or as our savior. But as Christians, we are subjects to a king and a savior who is different because he's not merely human, he's also divine. Jesus Christ is our king. And all things are to become subject to him, Paul says in our second reading today. God is the source of all, and God is our purpose and our destination. Since today is also the end of the church year, the gospel has us reflect again upon the end of our life here on earth, our purpose and our destination. Just like Jesus' parables from the last 2 weekends, the wise and foolish virgins, the good versus the lazy servant, today's image of the sheep and the goats reminds us again that we will be judged. We'll be judged whether or not we have allowed Jesus to be our king, whether or not we desire to be members of his kingdom. While all earthly kingdoms, governments, philosophies, while they come and go, Christ reigns as king forever. And Jesus is a very different kind of king from so many of the earthly rulers from the past and the present. They often may seek power and authority and dominion for the sake of themselves. But Jesus is a king who rules that we, each of you, might share in his life. Wherever and by whomever God has been cast out of public life or despised, neglected, or ignored, Jesus' kingly dignity will bring his justice to play. Thus we see, to some, he may say, "Depart from me. I was hungry and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, you gave me no drink. A stranger and you gave me no welcome, because you did not do any of those things to my brothers." But if we strive to live out all of those works of mercy, feeding the hungry and giving drink to the thirsty and clothing the naked, then God's desires to bring us mercy. He desires that judgment be good. To hear, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father." And Jesus, our King, does not want anyone to remain apart from him because he is a different kind of king. He's a shepherd king. And our first reading in our psalm describes what a shepherd king is like. A shepherd tends and cares for his sheep. A shepherd rescues any of the sheep who have wandered away. A shepherd brings his sheep back to verdant pastures where they may be healed and given rest. And that's what our shepherd king Jesus does. Jesus meets us wherever we may be, whatever the things are that we're going through, whether we happen to be close to him or far away on our own paths. The shepherd would not have us stay simply where we are, but he always wants to draw us closer to him so that we may have more abundant life. Knowing that it's possible to be separated from him by sin, he gently shepherds us back. Jesus Christ is not only the King while we're here on earth, he's also the eternal King, reigning forever in heaven. Pope Benedict, on the Feast of Christ the King a number of years ago, said that choosing Christ doesn't guarantee that we have success according to the world's criteria, but assures the peace and joy that his kingdom alone can give us. When Pope Pius XI instituted this feast day back in the 1920s, he said that Jesus must come to reign in our minds, that we should assent with our minds to all that he's taught us, all of his revealed truths, that he needs to reign in our wills, that we should choose to obey all of his laws, that he needs to reign in our hearts, which should turn our desires, our wants, to the love of God before other things, that he must reign in our bodies, which should be used to serve, above all, the salvation of souls. So this feast of the kingship of Christ kind of sets the finishing crown of glory to the mysteries of the life of Jesus that we celebrate throughout our entire liturgical year, that we've commemorated starting last year's Advent through Christmas, then into Lent and Easter, and throughout the whole ordinary time. And so as we now soon begin another whole cycle of celebrating Jesus' mysteries with the start of Advent next week, we ask and pray that he will continue to reign in our lives.